What is consciousness? And what does it mean to truly live life awake? Welcome to Clarity to Consciousness, a podcast where we transcend beyond stereotypes, embracing a deeper understanding. I'm your host, Kristen Griffiths, a fellow seeker on this path. Join me on a journey as we dive into conversations with experts, unraveling stigmas, and expanding our awareness to something profound. This is your invitation to open your mind with me as together we bring clarity to the fascinating complexities of human consciousness. Welcome back to the Clarity to Consciousness podcast, the show where we explore and clarify the vast and often mysterious terrain of human consciousness. I'm your host, Kristen Griffiths. Today's conversation sits at the intersection of wonder, discernment, and connection. Because at the heart of everything we explore, here is the question. How do we truly connect with ourselves, with others, and with what we do not fully understand? My guest today is Joe Skilton, a world-renowned mentalist who combines magic and psychology to create the illusion of mind reading. His work is often described as smart entertainment for smart audiences, the kind that astonishes you while quietly inviting you to reflect on how perception, belief, and connection really work. And I can say this firsthand because I've seen him in person. Joe has been featured on Fox, CW, and TLC and performs for audiences around the world. What I love most about Joe's perspective is that he believes connection is at the heart and center of what he does, that mentalism is not about fooling people, but about meeting them exactly where they are. Joe, welcome to the Clarity to Consciousness podcast. I'm so excited that you're here.
Kristen, I'm so thrilled to be here. Thanks so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
Great. I have been looking forward to this all week, so I'm so glad to hear you say that. Well, to start, can you share a little bit more about yourself, your personal journey, and what drew you to mentalism?
Sure. Well, wow. Mentalism, I've been fascinated my entire life with how people think. I was a pretty dorky kid. So, a lot of kids, they have dreams of being a firefighter when they grow up or a police officer. I wanted to be the person on QVC selling the earrings.
Oh my
Or
God,
maybe,
me too!
I know, right?
That's it. I
I just,
practiced in the mirror. Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Me
no,
too.
we're identical. See, connection already.
Connection.
It's, I wanted to do that, but I wanted to be an astronaut. And then I saw David Copperfield on TV back in the 80s kid. And I thought, wow, that's so cool. Cause I loved the idea of mystery. And I loved the idea of how did the beautiful woman turn into a tiger or something like that. And so I did the normal thing that most people do, went to college, left the childish things behind. And I was working in advertising, and magic was just becoming something that I was working on a lot. And I studied all kinds of magic, sleight of hand, illusion, and mentalism, mind magic or whatever you want to call it. And for me, I joined a club called the Magic Castle in Hollywood. Very tough ticket to get into town. I grew up on the East Coast, but I moved out to LA. Neil Patrick Harris was our club president.
Oh,
They were suit and tie, very
love
21
it.
and up, a very exclusive place. And I
So
got to
cool.
meet, oh, so cool, right?
I've been dying to go there. I've heard about it and I'm like, that place sounds awesome. I want to
It's
go.
it literally changed my life. I won an award there, a minor award. Chris Angel gave me a medal, and I got to meet Penn and Teller and some other people. And my wife said to me, maybe you could make a living out of this. And so for the first 10 years, I made a living doing sleight of hand. My favorite type of magic at that time was all normal objects, normal things, cards, coins, dollar bills, stuff like that. But I loved mentalism. I
Mhm.
loved the idea of getting into someone's head, telling them something about themselves. It seemed to have a deeper connection to me than eye candy of magic. But the reason I wasn't doing mentalism at that time was because it can be very scary. If I'll give you an example, if you're thinking of a two of clubs, and I say your card's the two of clubs, maybe you've had a bit to drink, you're confused, you say, no, it was the two of spades. You don't
Right.
mean to, you just mess up.
Right.
Well, a sleight of hand guy has ways of getting out of that. We can make the two of spades appear in your shoe or something. But if I say you're thinking of Bob and you decide to be a jerk and go, nope,
Yep.
I got nowhere to go,
Hmm.
and everybody, even though I know I'm right and I'm right, the entire audience is going to think I'm wrong. And so it's tight roping without a net. And a lot of magicians who've studied mentalism they're terrified to do it live because you really are putting yourself in the audience's hand. But back in 2017, I decided to take the full plunge and just dedicate myself to what I really loved. And it's been an amazing journey. I find it. I will always love magic and the QVC sales guys, but for me, mentalism is, I just think, one of the most rewarding and provocative and interesting and fun types of entertainment around, especially for grown-ups.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you that firsthand because so for everybody, Joe and I met at a corporate event and he was there. We hired him to do what he does best. And I mean, it was the most fun and exciting and just incredible part of the whole event because I mean, I was there all night with you. I'm like, show me another one. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
And I was thrilled when you said yes to doing the podcast with me. But I agree. People are really in for a treat when they have a mentalist like you coming
Oh,
coming to
I'm
their
very
event.
lucky. I'm incredibly lucky. I've been doing this for 20 years now, and your event was on the East Coast. I live on the West Coast. I go everywhere. I mean, next week I'm going to be in Seattle for a conference, and then I'm going off to New York City. Then I'm coming back to LA, and then I'm off to Vegas. So it's the travel can be a bit much, but it's a happy kind of travel because I know I'm bringing something special to people.
Yeah. Yeah. So how would you define mentalism in your
Uh,
own words? You did explain it a little bit, but how would you define it in your own words?
Well, I would say, first and foremost, mentalism is entertainment. It's not my job to get people to believe something or to not believe something I'm trying to meet them where they are. And I just want to give people a fun experience where they're laughing, clapping, having a great time, and ideally having their jaws hit the floor and their minds blown. I mean,
Hmm.
that's priority number one. But I would say, I'll give you two answers. The answer I tell everybody from the stage is
Hmm.
that a mentalist combines magic and psychology to create the illusion of mind reading. And in a corporate environment, almost all of my events are corporate. That works really great. People go, "Oh, okay, got it. Magic, but with mind reading. Got it." But the real truth is that a mentalist combines magic, psychology, and intuition to create a connection that mimics mind reading, or at least gets as close as you can get. And that may sound like I'm splitting hairs there, but
Hmm.
I think it's a pretty big difference. But my main goal is just to make sure that people have fun and
Yeah. Do people accidentally do mentalism or like do you have to be very intentional about it? Or
oh no,
are they
absolutely.
mind reading?
No, people do it all the time. I think intuition
Mhm.
is incredibly important. It's important to listen to our gut. And
Mhm.
it's funny if you look at breakdowns, if you ask men, not always, but in general, if you ask guys, are you intuitive? They'll go, oh no. But if you say, hey, do you trust your gut instincts? They'll go, oh yeah.
Yeah.
The words we use in our society, some people gravitate to one more than the other. But I
Mhm.
think it's important. If you've ever walked into a room with your spouse or a friend and you can immediately tell they're in a horrible mood, they haven't said anything, they haven't looked at you, you just feel it. It just comes to you. Um, we would be pretty silly to ignore that. I think people do it all the time. I honestly tell people, um, everything that you ever see a mentalist do, whether it's on national TV or at a company employee event, everything they're doing, obviously talent's a component, but it is stuff that you can learn and that you can develop. I don't like to say that anyone can do it because that's like saying anyone can play in the NBA. I mean,
Mhm.
technically yes, but also you all and know what you're doing. But practice is key. But yeah, absolutely. I think people do it all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a big into that. I mean, that's a lot of the reason why I started this podcast. I find it so interesting. I've been really working on my own intuition and yeah, I mean, I think energy sensing, which is sort of like what you talked about when you walk into a room and you know that there's something wrong immediately without anyone having to say anything is you really feeling into the energy of the room. So,
Yeah.
that's so cool. So, you talk a little bit about connection in some of your work. I noticed it on your website.
Yeah.
You say that connection's at the center of everything you do. And I love talking about connection. I love making connections. I love connecting with people. What does connection actually look like for you, both on stage and then, in your everyday life?
Well, when When I got my start, this was about 20 years ago, living in LA, uh, I would work nightclubs on Sunset Boulevard, and it would be loud and it would be dark and there would be loud music, and it was one of the worst environments to try to do. In fact, you couldn't do any mentalism at all in that environment because nobody could hear you. You had to just keep things visual. And I found the connection was when you had somebody's attention and you were
Mhm.
able to create a moment. And if you can make it work in a hard environment like that, then other environments become a lot easier. My favorite moments are those moments where people are genuinely, I don't know if touched maybe sounds a little too much, but
Mhm.
where they're generally like, wow, he gets me, he understands me. I do a keynote where I talk about moments of astonishment. So I do like shows, and then sometimes I do a keynote and I do other things. But the keynote, it's all about how you can try and create moments of astonishment for other people. Whether it's your coworkers, your community, your friends, your clients, your customers, ways that you can wow them. Because when you wow somebody, it creates a moment that they won't be able to stop talking about, and selfishly that's good for you
Mhm.
because that's promotion, but also, you're able to actually make an impact. It's been amazing to me. I mean, I loved meeting you at that corporate event. I've had people come up to me years later. I don't remember them, and they'll take out a card in their wallet that's my card, and they'll be like, "I saw you 3 years ago. We still talk about that." And it's like, I don't think that can happen without connection, really.
Yeah.
And I will say this too. I think one of the differences between magic and mentalism, although they do have some overlap, is that magic tends to be very much look at me, look at me, look at me. Look what I can do. Look
Mhm.
at this, look at this. Aren't I great? Whereas mentalism is about look at you. Look at what you can do.
Mhm.
Think about, something from your past. Think about this, think about that, and making that public. So I think that matters a lot.
I think so too. I'm so excited for this. So before we go any further, can we give the audience listening also, if you guys, if you have a chance to hop on like YouTube and actually watch, you get to see what it look like, and actually get to see visuals, but we're going to make this appropriate for both the list, like audio only and visual version.
Sure.
But can you show us, Joe, like
Yeah.
an example of what you do?
Absolutely. Here's what I'll do, and I will direct I'll direct the listener to know. I've got a pen in my hand, and I've got a business card with a blank space on the other side of it. The business card is black on one side, so you can't see what I'm about to write. But Kristen, for this business card thing, we did not arrange anything. You don't know what I'm about to write. We haven't discussed anything, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you give me just a random 3-digit number, Kristen?
And I'm supposed to say it out loud.
Yeah, please do.
Okay. A random three-digit number,
Yeah.
241.
The reason I asked for that is and I'm going to do a squiggle, I'm not even looking, is that later on, Kristen can look at this when I show it again to the camera. She'll see the
Mhm,
squiggle and the number, and she'll know that I haven't switched the cards. Because when you're watching on Zoom or in an interview, you think, okay, there could be somebody under the desk, there could be
mhm.
a green screen behind him, and I don't want anybody to think that. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to imagine that you're going to do a tarot card reading, Kristen, for a friend or a colleague or somebody that you know. And I want you to think about anyone in your life, as long as you know them, just their first name, friend, family, doesn't matter who. But let me know when you have that, but don't say the name out loud. Do you have anybody in mind?
Um, I'm kinda going through my catalog in my head on who I would do a tarot card reading
Oh, it
for.
doesn't have to be somebody you normally. In fact, it could be a totally inappropriate person. Anybody.
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh, that just made that almost makes my decision harder.
Okay.
Um,
As long as you know them.
okay, yes, as long as I know them.
Let me
Um,
know once you have a name in mind. You got
mhm,
it? I want you
mhm,
to think about this person. I want you to visualize them clearly in your mind. And I'm just going to try and pick up a couple basic things. But I want you to imagine you're sitting at a table, you've got a tarot deck in front of you, and you're about to do a reading. You're going to do a very simple reading here in a minute. You've known this person for a while. Am I correct about that?
yes.
Years, as a matter of fact. Yes?
Mhm,
And there isn't a family connection here, is there?
yes, there is.
Hmm. I am seeing I'm seeing like a surface, there's something white on top of it. I've written something on this card. I'm not going to show the camera, but I have an envelope. It's a coin envelope, like a little envelope
Uh-huh,
empty.
uh-huh.
I'll place this inside. And Kristen, keep me honest. I'm going to take this pen. I'm tossing it away. We don't need it anymore. And I'm going to put this way behind me, right on this little bookshelf. So I placed an envelope on the bookshelf.
Yes.
We're going to try this.
Okay.
So, second order of business. This is
Mhm.
I asked you before the call to purchase from Amazon a tarot deck, and you shuffled that tarot deck. I hope you shuffled it, right?
Shuffled it, yes. I
Okay.
shuffled
You
it.
shuffled the tarot deck and you placed it off to the side, but it's out of the box and all of that. Yes?
Correct. Yep.
Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to take your right hand or your left hand, it doesn't matter which, but one of your hands. Don't touch the tarot deck, but I want you to put it over the tarot deck and
Okay.
just hover it over that tarot deck. In a minute, you're going to reach on up and you're going to lift up the top half of that deck.
Okay.
So you go ahead, reach over the top deck. Don't show the camera,
Okay.
but you've got some cards. I got a tarot deck here. It's a big old deck.
Yep.
But you've got your card.
Yep.
I want you, without showing the camera, you're going to look at where you cut. You're going to look at that card, and I want you to just look at that card. You can put it on a table in front of you if you need to, but look at that card and study it.
Okay.
Okay? Right in that top half that you cut, the one that's on the bottom. You've got that memorized?
Yep.
Perfect. I want you to look at me, Kristen. Here's where we go. This is where it's going to start to get fun. So I want you to think about that card. You've dealt that card out to your friend. No, your family member, actually. And they're looking at the card. They can see it. I want you to just kind of visualize this card in your mind. Now, there's pentacles and there's wands and there's cups and there's wands. Is this one of the wands cards with like a stick? Like, take a look at it. Is this a wand card with a stick on it or a couple sticks?
Yes.
Yes, good. Okay. So that's a 1 out of 4. That doesn't mean anything. But I want you to see that. I want you to see that card. It's okay. This is interesting. It's not a major arcana card. There's a minor arcana card. It's got some wands on it. And I think if I were doing this reading for somebody, I would tell them that the overall sense I'm getting is one of satisfaction, happiness, that they accomplished something that they've been working on for a little bit of time. They have a goal that they've wanted to achieve. And this card is showing them that they've achieved it. They're happy. There's multiple wands on this. I want to say, yeah, this is a sense of happiness that they've achieved something. They've accomplished something. Has this person been working on something that they've been trying to accomplish that you're aware of?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ask them later.
Okay.
This may be the thing, but I'm also seeing an animal. Is there an animal in this image? There's an animal of some kind?
Yes.
Rather large animal, yes?
Yes.
This is a horse. They're riding a horse? There's a horse. I think you're thinking of the 6 of Wands. If you can hold that up and show everybody, we'll see. Did I get that right?
Yes. This is the 6 of Wands.
Fantastic. Awesome. Very cool. Now, here's where this gets interesting. You're doing this for a family member of yours. This is not a distant family member. This was somebody close, like a nuclear family. Am I right about that?
Yeah.
And we didn't arrange this. Like I didn't tell you, think of a family member. I didn't say before the cameras roll, think of this or whatever else. I like that. What's their name? What's their name?
Brad.
Brad. Was this by any chance your brother?
Yeah.
Okay, this is weird. I'm going to show you something. This is the wild thing. Now, when we started this, I had you think of somebody. I wrote a little something on a card. I put it inside an envelope, and I put it down over there. I'm going to show this to you. My hands are empty. I'm walking back now. I'm grabbing the envelope. It's going to stay in frame the entire time here. I want you to see staying in frame. Here we go. You wrote a 241 and a squiggle. And underneath that, I wrote Brad.
What the heck? It says Brad on the card.
Yes, Brad. A little smudgy from my fingers, but
yeah.
Yes. There you go.
Okay. So just for everybody who's not able to see this, like there at no point did I witness him with the card in his hand, writing on it in between doing all that stuff and then him putting it on the shelf and bringing it back.
I had a very strong feeling about the B, a very strong feeling about the B and the R. I was not sure if it was a Bradley. It could have been a Brian. Took a shot. You know, I'll tell you, people ask me after my shows sometimes, And I think this is important to say for your listeners and your
Mhm.
viewers. My job, when a company pays me a lot of money to get on a plane and fly out and entertain at their event, they're paying me to not screw up. And so I have people sometimes come up to me after a show and they say,
Mhm.
"So how is this all psychic? Is this all psychic ability that you've developed or you were born with?" And this is something that I tell people because I think it's important. Let's imagine for a minute, Kristen, that you had the power of prophecy. It was only good for 30 seconds. So you
Mhm.
can't know tomorrow's lottery numbers, but you're good for 30 seconds ahead. And let's say hypothetically that you could guess a coin flip 60% of the time correct.
Mhm.
You're still wrong 40%, but that's 10% better
Mhm.
than any other human can do, right? If you
Mhm.
could do this, Kristen, every NFL team in the country would hire you to call the head or tail before the kickoff because that
Right.
could make the difference in the game. They'd pay you $1 million a year to do. Um, well,
Mhm.
even if you have a mentalist or a medium or a psychic or whatever you want to call it who can get things right 60% of the time, a name, anything.
Mhm.
When I'm hired on stage to be with the CEO, they want it right 100% of the time. They
Yeah.
do, which
Yeah.
is why every mentalist and everyone you see on TV cheats. We
Mhm.
use misdirection. I don't really use sleight of hand, but they'll use misdirection. They'll use psychological mind ploys, psychology, every little thing we can do to get it as close to 100% as possible. Because ultimately we're entertainers. Ultimately our job is to leverage the intuition we have, our knowledge of how people think to try
Yeah.
and get us to a certain point that looks flawless. But in the real world, no one's that flawless.
I
But that's
know.
kind of my in-depth answer to that very popular question people have.
Yeah, I'm glad you addressed that, but part of me kind of wants to just believe that you're a bit
You're
like a wizard.
right, that I could do it 100% every day. I wish I could. My wife
Mhm.
would find it very frustrating, but then I would always know what everybody's thinking all the time.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I mean, that's real power that you could wield.
Yeah. Well, I think if you were that good, you'd probably be on retainer with the CIA or something nefarious. I don't know. I'd like to think I wouldn't, but who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I agree. And when you make a really good point. Your job sort of relies on you being 100% accurate. So that's a lot of pressure.
It is. And one of the ways that I negate that pressure, because especially, I've occasionally been on TV, sometimes live, sometimes pre-recorded, or like on a podcast, and there's a bit of pressure, so you better not
Yeah,
stink. If I were
right.
telling you you're thinking of the chariot and it's wrong, that's a problem. But the thing is I try to make sure, and I think this is important advice for everybody. If people like you, they'll like what you do. If
Mm.
people like you, if they smile when you walk into a room, if they're glad to see you there, they will forgive the occasional mistake. You know, I had a feeling it was your brother, but if I'd said it was your father, you would have let that slide, right? It
Mhm.
would have been okay. Because we didn't arrange, like, I didn't tell you to think of your brother. I didn't say any, yeah, I said literally anybody. But the thing is I try to create a fun environment where people are willing to just kick back, have fun. If they want to pay attention to it and really ponder the deeper meanings, great. If they just want to have some fun in between drinking and then go home, thanks, boss. I'll see you next week. Then they can do that too.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Well, for our listeners, you let's go back to the moments of astonishment because I love this idea of giving everyone maybe like a tiny tip or a take home or something that they can introduce into their everyday lives that can make that a little bit better. Obviously without giving away any
Oh,
of your trade secrets, of course.
no,
Maybe just
absolutely.
in a very human connection kind of way. Do you have anything that you can recommend for people to start doing to give people an opportunity to make their own moments of astonishment in their everyday lives?
Well, yeah. I absolutely can. I think, and I'm going to approach this. I'm sorry if I drone on too long. I talk a lot. So if
No,
I'm talking,
no, that's what this
but
is for. I want to talk to you.
there's kind of three ways that people approach mentalism. One is via the intuitive psychic angle. One is through a psychological angle. I know somebody who started off, they were a psychiatrist and then they became a mentalist, never learned a magic trick in their lives, just went straightly from psychology. The other is via magic. So there's kind of different approaches, but really, I like to think that you don't have to read minds to know what people are thinking. And in fact, in real life, you have a luxury that I don't have, which is you can just ask them. You can say, hey, what is it that you're looking for? What do you want? What's important to you? And instead of making it a trick where you're able to intuit what it is that they care about, you can talk about it with them freely and find a way to give them in some small way what they want. I think an old friend of mine used to say, everybody's tuned into the radio station WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's the radio station everybody listens to all the time. If you can find out what it is they want and you can give it to them, they'll never be able to stop talking about you. They will be your biggest champion. So for me, for connection, I like to look at it on a framework of a performance piece. So the first important thing to do is to establish the ground rules, right? And what I just did, the ground rule was, oh, you have a tarot deck. I didn't mail it to you. It was from Amazon and you shuffled it, right? A groundwork. The second thing is, once you've established those conditions, is to set up a situation where you'll be able to give them something. And then the third is the finale is, hey, I've given you this cool thing, right? And so if you're talking to somebody, for instance, and they're having a problem, I'm making this up. They're having a problem with their son. Maybe their son isn't studying in school. They're really worried about him hanging out with a tough crowd. We don't know what. Well, what do they want? We've established the conditions right there. And the condition should be, hi, I'm Kristen. I'm here to listen to you. Right? That's it. And what's going on with them? Then the next thing is to give them what they want. Different people want different things. And that's really where intuition can come into play. Some people, they want a solution. What are the tips and tricks you can give me to help with my family? Other people just want an ear. They want somebody to listen to them, to tell them that they're heard, to sympathize with them, to give them a shoulder to cry on. Both of those are perfectly fine things to want, but usually if you give the wrong one to the other person, they're not happy. It's a bit of a stereotype to say, I complained about my day and they're going to say, I just want you to hear me.
Yeah.
So figure out which of those it is. That's where the intuition comes into play. And then lastly, do it, be that shoulder or give them a couple tips. If you don't have solutions, maybe you can think of something that could help them otherwise. I think connection isn't the most important thing. In some ways, I think it's the only thing, really. If we had a life without any connection, that would be a very lonely experience. I don't know anybody who'd really want that.
I don't either. Loneliness can be really, really challenging. And I am a single mom. And so when I don't have my son around, those periods by myself are sometimes they're spent feeling relief, but a lot of times the absence of other people around is palatable. You can
Yeah.
feel it and it sense it. And then I really begin to understand why connection is so important because those moments can be hard and feel very empty.
And connections with kids too. I've got a son myself. We just have one, and
Mm,
it's because these are connections you're going to have the rest of your life.
yeah.
Oh, it's not like they turn 18 and then suddenly bye. This is a lifelong thing, and I think connection is really the most important thing as a father for me, I think.
hmm Wow. Yeah. How old's your son? We have so many similarities.
Just turned 14,
Oh, 14. Okay.
going on 9.
Well, that's funny because mine is 9. And he's probably going on 14.
Good for you,
I,
or bad, depending, right?
he's not really that mature. I just wanted to say that to bookend. But yeah, that's so funny. We're very similar. And you grew up in the Northeast, right?
I grew up in Pennsylvania. I never thought I'd be doing this for a living. Again, astronaut, but my vision is horrible. And I liked music as well. I play horribly. You don't want to hear me play. Never ask. But I grew up on the East Coast. I met my wife when we were up in college in upstate New York, and she graduated a year ahead of me. And I said, well, I don't want to live in LA, but I'll go out there, and if we break up, then I'll go back.
Hmm.
and it's been a very long time now. So I'm practically a native at this point.
That's amazing. Well, this has been such a fun conversation.
Oh,
I'm going to have to wrap up with you with a few questions that I ask all my guests, if
sure.
that's okay with you.
Sure.
Reflecting on our conversation, what is one thing you hope our listeners remember about connection and the power of the human mind?
Wow, only one. One thing
I
about
know it's
connection
tough.
in the well, I'll address yeah. I mean, I think for connection, it's a couple things. Go out there and try. I really believe if you connect with, your coworkers, your clients, your community, amazing things will happen. Amazing things will happen. I mean, this happened because we connected at an event. There were a lot of people there and we just got to talking. And I will also say too, that's not an invitation to connect with everybody all the time. We're on different wavelengths and different people, some people you vibe with and some people you don't. I think if you find yourself ever sad, if you ever find yourself sad or depressed, my mom had a great thing that she said once, which was before you diagnose yourself with depression, ask yourself, am I surrounded by jerks? Because if you are, maybe
Mhm.
you're not depressed. Maybe you just need a new place to be. And as far as the power of the human mind, I genuinely believe we're all capable of amazing things. And take some chances. The worst thing that can happen is you're a little embarrassed.
Yeah. That's so true. I love that advice, by the way. That's so good because sometimes, people pleasers, which I
Oh,
think a lot of women are, and I probably am, we assume like we have to be nice to everybody and, be there for everybody and do everything for everybody. And
right.
sometimes it's protecting your energy from those who don't have your best interest in mind or who don't feel good is one of the best things you can do for yourself. So that's great. And your grandmother had some right on advice. So I know we didn't have completely a spiritual conversation, maybe a little bit, but
Yeah.
if someone's just exploring spirituality or consciousness,
Mm.
intuition, just be at the beginning stages of it, what advice would you give them?
To thy own self be true.
Mm.
I think probably, and again, I don't call myself. I'm certainly not a medium or a what you would call a psychic, I suppose. But
Which is so strange to me because I feel like you are, but okay.
but you know what I would say, learn as much as you can before. How do I say that? I don't want this to offend anybody, but I would say I think there's usually the wrong step in my experience. The wrong step is to find a guru before you've tried, or an expert, or whatever you want to call it, before you've really understood the lay of the land. I would read. I would read a lot. I would listen to podcasts. I would watch videos if you can. I would consider, try to find a path. For me, I find a lot of value in stoicism. I find a lot of real value in meditating every day. In Buddhist philosophy, not so much theology, however, you can separate those in Buddhism, but I find Buddhist philosophy about being in the moment, being now. Because when we think about the future and we fixate on that, it creates anxiety. When we think about the past and we fixate on that, it creates sadness. So it's like, it's good to be in the moment. So, whatever you find that really sings to you, try to learn about that a bit before you start seeking out experts, because that'll help you really understand what you naturally gravitate to, as opposed to being pulled wherever they want to take you.
Yeah, I love that advice. That's really wonderful idea. Yes.
Yeah. I'll tell you, I studied mentalism for 10 years before I started doing it, and
Mm,
I studied magic for 5 years before I'd ever joined the Magic Castle.
okay.
It was, take it, there's nothing wrong with taking your time. We're here for a long time.
Mm. By the way, I wanted to tell you, you mentioned David Copperfield. So
Yeah,
I saw him when I was a kid, and I was so obviously the show was great.
sure.
And I remember when afterwards, I got a picture of him for him to sign the
Ye
autograph.
yeah.
It was the weirdest situation. I went up to him and I feel like he was like sitting on like it almost looked like a throne. And I like hand it to him and he doesn't even look at me. He like stares off in the distance, signs it, and hands it back. And it's not even his name, it's just a scribble. It's like what you put on that card. And that was my experience, and I'm like,
There's your
I don't
signature.
know if he just is miserable and, like, didn't wanna do that at all, or if he's just trying to play up the mysticism and, like, not looking at anybody.
Well, it's funny. I've never met David. I mean, very, very, very briefly.
Mhm,
I think 2 words were said. No, funny thing about, David, I don't know him, but he does about 500 shows a year in Las Vegas. He does a lot of shows. And I have to imagine that as brilliant as he is, and some of the pieces in his show are absolutely jaw-dropping. I mean, just jaw-dropping stuff. We all have our good days and our bad days,
mhm,
and I think there's a lot of entertainers, even ones who are nothing like him, like David Blaine, for example, or um, Darren Brown, who's one of my favorite mentalists in the world. Darren is his stuff's on YouTube. You can watch that and be happy.
mhm,
I don't think anybody would be where they are without his influence. So
mhm.
I'm sorry that was a rough experience.
Oh, it wasn't rough. I think I was just so confused. And then going on then from there on, I'm like, "Oh, I guess people, when they sign autographs, they just scribble, like, they don't actually write their name." My only ever experience with it. It was just kind of funny and made me,
Yeah,
blast from the past. Yeah. Okay. And my last question for you
sure.
today, and by the way, I have actually, I have 2 more questions.
Okay.
Uh, and we can cut this out. But, like, is it possible to do another trick before we end this, or were you only prepared for one?
No, no, we could do one last thing. Yeah, we totally could.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I'll save that for the end. But my
Okay.
last question is,
Hmm.
from your point of view, what does it mean to live life consciously?
Wow, that's a great question. I kind of alluded to it before, but I think to live life consciously is to live in the moment. That's not to say that you don't plan for the future. You need to have goals and you need to work hard to those goals. And I talk about that, when I'm speaking to, 200 executives in a Marriott ballroom in Chicago or something. We touch on that a bit. Because ideally, I mean, it's supposed to be entertaining, but I do want them to leave with a couple key takeaways that have value. But for me, living in the moment, being in the moment is the most important thing, because when you're in the moment, you can look at someone in their eyes, and you can really fully process them, and you can process yourself. How do I feel about this? How do I feel they feel about this? And am I on the right track or the wrong track? And I think when we stop, I don't mean listening to others, but if we stop being overly influenced by outside influences and take a moment to really listen to ourselves, it's a game changer. So for me, it's being in the moment. And yeah,
That's amazing. Yeah, I agree. And taking those quiet moments to really listen to what our soul's trying to tell us is so important. And
that
I love that advice. Thank you so much, Joe.
the hard part is following that advice when you're in the middle of a stressful situation, right? That's where
Mhm.
you separate the beginners from the people who've been doing it a while. But
Yeah.
yeah, do it when you can.
Yeah. I know. I have a lot of work to do there too myself. Okay, Joe, can
Yeah.
we do one more try?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we can. All right.
Yay!
Um,
Okay, great.
Okay, so for the viewers listening, you
Mhm.
don't need to visualize this, but or see it, or you can be watching too. Before we started recording, there was only one thing I asked you to do, which was to have 3 objects on your desk in front of you. I told you to put them in a random order, and I asked you to memorize one of those objects, any one of them you wanted. But I was very clear, don't tell me what the objects are. Don't tell me which order they're in. Like, I don't know anything about it other than you have 3 objects off screen. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Cool. All right. So you've got 3 objects. Are they right in front of you, or are they off to the side or something like that?
They're off to the side a little bit.
Okay. Uh, I have no idea what these are. So what I'd like you to do, are they in a row, like a 1, 2, 3 kind of in a row?
Yes.
Okay. Grab a number one, the one at the left. Show me what
Mhm.
it is. I will look at it real quickly.
You wanna see it, right?
Yeah, I want to see it. This is the first time I'm seeing it. I have no
Yeah.
idea what.
So you're seeing it.
Wow. Okay. Is it paperweight?
Yes. Can we tell everybody what it
Yeah.
is?
Yeah. Yeah.
Alright, so I'm holding up a little rock that I had painted with my son.
Wow.
like
Okay,
a lot,
deep
like
personal connection there.
yeah.
Okay. You can put that back where it was, and
Mhm.
then, the one in the middle, you can grab that one.
Okay.
What's that object? And we're gonna look at all 3.
They're very unique. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Oh,
This
it's a bird.
yes, it's a little metal
Oh,
cardinal.
the cardinal. Okay.
Little
Very
red cardinal.
alright. And then the last object, which one is that?
It's a remote control for my
Okay.
van.
Amazing. Alright, alright. So, you've got 3 objects. You've
Mhm.
got a paperweight that you and your son painted, a
Mhm.
tiny little red cardinal, and
Yes.
you've got a remote control. That's pretty
Mhm.
random,
Pretty random.
and
Right.
I had no idea what those were. I guarantee you, I maybe would have guessed a remote control, but there's no way I would have gotten the paperweight.
No, I know.
So, alright, so there's one of those objects that
Mhm.
you've been thinking of and fixating for the last hour
Yes.
that's been in your mind.
Yes.
And my little goal here, it's a 1 out of 3, but my goal is gonna be to try and guess which one of those objects it is. Here's the thing, if you try to guess, very
Mhm.
often you'll get things wrong. So
Interesting.
one thing I like to do is just kinda clear my mind and just kinda see if one of them pops in. If I get this wrong, we'll try something else.
Okay.
But I feel with you I feel with you that you're a person who has real strong connections with people, but this is almost in relation to perhaps a time in your life where you weren't super outgoing. I feel like this was something you kind of developed over time. It wasn't necessarily natural
Mm.
to you, and you're so good at it. You're just so good at it. I think if if you were going to think of one of these, if you were going to fixate on one, I don't know why, I just have a strong connection to it. I think as important as the paperweight is, I don't think it's the paperweight. I think you would have gone with the red cardinal.
Yes.
Am I okay? Yeah, yeah. What is there any meaning to the red cardinal at all?
Cardinals are representative of uh spirits that passed on. Like, so when you see one, it's sort of supposed to remind you that a loved one's with you. And so when I saw a little one, I thought I'd put it there, and yeah.
Great, excellent. Well, I'm glad it worked.
Well, thank you so much for that. That was a lot of fun.
It's been my pleasure. It's been really happy to be here, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you again at another company event or something like that. That'd be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, I truly appreciated this conversation, the way you center humanity and connection in the work that you do. It's not about being a spectacle. I love the way you connect with your audience. So thank you so much for everything.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot to me. It really does. Thank you.
Oh, good, good. And for everybody listening, if today's episode resonated with you, I highly encourage you to explore more of Joe's work. Check out his website, joeskilton.com. We'll link it below. If you are somebody who's in charge of a corporate event, like, consider inviting Joe to come and amaze and astonish your audience, because not only is it a lot of fun, but he has an incredible message to share as well. So I highly recommend it. Well, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate the great engagement online. Let us know how this episode resonated with you. And until next time, stay curious, live consciously, and keep seeking clarity. Much love. Bye for now.